Good morning. Thank you for coming to play with my mind, my ideas. My name is Gretchen Vogel. I've been a medium, a channeled um, author for more than 4 decades. Today, I want to continue with a very personal story on karmic dissolution. I follow Amanda Ellis out of England. She's a color therapist. She does interesting aura sprays. And she said something in her last video, which I watched last evening, and this is May 4th that I'm recording this. She said, tell your story. Someone else can benefit from it. And that gave me kind of the courage to do this little video this morning. Now, let's go over karma for those of you who haven't seen any of the other playlists on karma. Karma is patterns in energy. That's all it is. Well, not all. It really is everything. Karma is how we identify ourselves in life. Karma is how we identify ourselves in between our physical lifetimes. These patterns in energy are what carries our identity. These patterns of energy are also what we have created and what we create with going forward. These patterns in energy do not come from mind, even though it would seem that they do. These patterns of energy are more closely linked to emotion in the way that we think about our body now, because the karma that creates our reality comes much more from heart energy than it does from mind energy. And karma as a word gets bantered around a lot. So a lot of people understand it having different meanings, and that's cool. I'm only sharing what I've been told. Anyway, so in the dissolution of my karma, they say there's obviously good karma, and there's obviously bad karma, and I'm sure there's neutral karma, which is neither good or bad. Just as we're bopping around through life. And we don't have to be terribly concerned with the good karma. That's why the focus is so much more on bad karma. Excuse me, we have pollen here. Sorry, I'm checking my notes because I really don't want to miss anything. So my personal journey of looking at the things that I was ashamed of in this lifetime, the things that I considered mistakes, although, as we know, a lot of these mistakes are really there to benefit us, and that's not excusing myself. Taking full self-responsibility is part of the life review. And I'm going to do another video on life review because I have a meditation on that I want to share with you. So I was looking at the things that I'm not proud of and taking a very honest look, because I have developed self-love. And as they so beautifully said to me, and I'm sure I'll repeat this in another video, No matter what you've done, love yourself. No matter what you think you might have done that has harmed other creatures, and sometimes we have, love yourself. No matter what happened in your life that you felt that you perhaps could have handled differently, no matter what regrets we have, to love ourselves. That the karmic dissolution of, well, the dissolution specifically of the what we would consider bad karma, and I'm just going to use that term because we all understand what that means, requires love. It cannot be done with fear. It cannot be done with self-loathing. So I don't want to get too far into this topic because I probably am going to be repeating this material in the meditation on life review, which was absolutely brilliant. And of course, I'm just the telephone, and I'm as excited about any of this information as anybody could possibly be. So I wanted to share an experience that I had with good karma. Okay, because I was getting, I mean, my default setting has always been to feel like a piece of crap. So, and I'm guessing I might not be the only one out there. Um, when you have a really rough start, and I'm not blaming that either, I take full responsibility. Uh, and as I said in the last video, that I could not have anticipated pre-birth what I would have been experiencing in terms of trauma, very early trauma in my lifetime. But it all served to make me the person I am. And it's only how we choose to deal with our trauma. And that's important. So, and there were a lot of times I did not deal with it very well, made very poor choices out of post-traumatic stress. What? We're not going there today. Where we're going is, I've been working with an energy healer, a Reiki master who's also a very close friend. In fact, I won't be recording up here in June because they're going to be in between living spaces. So she and her husband, who does my acupuncture, and their two cats are going to be living up here. So I won't have my space for a while. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll try one or two outside. Anyway, the last session I had with her, I didn't think was as oh, excuse me, maybe I'm having trouble talking about this, as profound as some of the other work. And what it was we eventually got to the point where I saw my heart was encased, and it seemed to be encased in a hazelnut shell. Now, those of you, or a chestnut, have you ever seen chestnuts? Like the chestnuts roasting on an open fire that still are in their shell, or even Brazil nuts or acorns, any kind of a nut, but it had a coating around my heart of that. And I could not, in the context of the energy work, deal with that myself. But in my mind, I looked away for a while. I just didn't look at it. I mean, I saw it and then I didn't look at it. And then I would glance back and it was being peeled away. And I know why I put that coating on my heart, because I wanted my mother to love me, and she wasn't capable of it. She didn't know how. She really didn't. And not when I really needed it, was when I was really young. So I had to protect my heart. I had to. Um, and again, I'm not blaming her. This was my adaptation to what was going on around me. And we've, my mother and I have resolved a lot through my karma work. And what sometimes when you make notes, you can't even read them. Um, so I think we can only find our good and bad karma if we ask those questions. But again, you don't want to ask those questions until you're ready to deal with all of it with love for yourself. That's the most important ingredient. So, um, I had an experience with good karma that I have to share with you, and it is related to the peeling back of the uh, shell that was around my heart. This was very spontaneous. It was when I was waking up one morning, not too long ago, and I had a jolt. I mean, literally a jolt. Of course, I don't know what the camera's going to do with that, um, of emotion. And it like almost, lifted me out of sleep for sure. But and then so I looked with my mind. I said, what is this? Who's here? What's happening? And what it was I bred horses when I was much younger. And these horses, I started with two mares, which is a female horse. I had six foals. They were all female. It was a very feminist organization. And when I looked to see what this jolt of energy, emotional energy was, the mares were standing around me as if I was sitting on the ground. And all of my horses were incredibly trustworthy. I mean, you could sit on the ground with any of them without holding them, obviously. But they were surrounding me, sort of like I was the center of a campfire. um, and what they were doing was they were loving me. Sorry. And what the message was I was a tough nut to crack because I can't take in love. I just can't. It's very, very hard for me. Ask my husband, he knows. um, when you've had to protect your heart for so long, it's very hard to accept love, even from the most devoted, adorable dogs that I've had, and I have two really special ones now. Of course, the Siamese insists that I accept his love. He did this, cats. There's no arguing with cats. Um, and this made a profound change in me because this was good karma, even though all I think about when I think about that time with that particular group of horses was how I only had run-in sheds for them. I didn't have a real barn. But they were very tough little Irish ponies. They didn't need a barn. Plus, they stood under the fir trees in bad weather. They were not interested even in the sheds unless it was buggy. If there were bugs, that was the only time you'd find them in the sheds. Otherwise, they were outside. And I took the best care I could of them. And I loved them, but yet to experience their love for me was something I had to let into my heart. So, this is an example of how sometimes when we feel that we have bad karma or poor karma, or sometimes when we have regrets about things, there's another side to it. Those horses, ponies, they weren't horses, they were ponies. They were large ponies, but they were ponies. They must have loved me then if they still love me now. And the last one, who was the first foal that I bred, passed away at the age of, I believe she was 19, which is pretty far along for horses in general, but not particularly for this breed. They're very long-lived breed. Um, Here on the farm that I'm at, probably, oh, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Um, so they're not in form with me anymore. But as you know, nothing is lost in energy, and they still love me. So I had to tell you a little good karma story. And when we get into the life review, there is more on understanding that we're a combination of both, you know. The hard stuff is hard to look at in life review. It's incredibly painful. And I have another one on dissolution of karma that I'm going to do. Uh, that's fairly personal, but not for a while. We'll go back out and talk to the greater intelligence. So, thank you for any attention you might give my channeled work. It's not really my work. um, my website is How Spirit Works. My email address is in the descriptor box. And please like and subscribe and share if you think other people would benefit. And thank you very much. And we'll see you again soon. I'm sorry it's been a little gap between videos, but we're really pedal to the metal trying to get our vegetable gardens in. We have really big gardens in a lot of different places. I think we've got 5 gardens so that we can rotate the crops and do cover crops and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's a busy time of the year. So thank you so much for dropping by.